Are you effectively saying that a lot of this witch hunt is
manufactured?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is very clear. What is the cost of free speech? Does free speech come without responsibility of free speech? Whose morality is it really? Is it yours? Is it mine? Because then you can never stop. And then it's a very slippery slope. Whole lot of unregulated content that is creating impact on the regular citizen on social media. So India में मेरे को लगता है लोग people should be protected sometimes from their own stupidity also.
Hotstar was by far the number one OTT in India. By 2021, there were 51 million subscribers, right? So which was much higher than Netflix in India. Netflix in India, by the way, is only like 10% of this. After having all of this, that they had channels, they had subscribers coming in, they had rights, 5-year rights at least. So why would you then, you would need Disney? Hotstar. If you want to advertise an IPL, you have to go through Reliance. There is no other way. And that's, I think, by far the biggest property in India in terms of advertising, which is available today. So this is Honasa's brand composition Q3 last year versus Q3 this year. They did 488 crores versus 518 crores.
Honasa is MamaEarth and 5-6 other brands, right? The core brand MamaEarth growth has slowed down significantly.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Asymmetric. After Revant's mind-blowing introduction last time, we got a ton of comments kind of encouraging us, giving us feedback. People who said, I usually don't comment, but I will comment this time. So we encourage you to do it. And in fact, we all individually read these comments. Some of us respond to them. So to every episode now onwards, we'll actually have a segment where we are actually responding to comments. So if you have something about, something to say, it could be criticism, observation, addition, whatever. The comments are really helpful. Please put them in and we'll pick them up in the next episode. And at the end of this episode, we'll have a run through of the comment from the previous episode also. We have a power-packed episode for you from the happenings of last week. Of course, as you would have seen in the introduction before we formally started, social media outrages name of the game right now. So there is, I think on top of mind for everyone is what happened with Samay Ranveer and what it actually means. Some of the things that it kind of alludes to from a fact standpoint. We did have the Jio-Hotstar merger. I think when you guys would have opened your Hotstar app sometime last week, you would have seen a new logo and, subscriptions would have merged. Something similar to what happened when Air India and Vistara finally merged and all your frequent flyer numbers got together. So there is a whole host of things there. Power-packed episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed. RBCT, did you guys see the clip? Did you guys see the snowball effect of social takeover? What's your view?
Hard to ignore it. I think it's been top of mind for the last 1 week for everybody. I don't watch the show, but I think this one came up on a lot of WhatsApps and then obviously spiraled up. I'm not a big consumer of social media content in shorts form, which is more about flash and bang or outrage. And I mean, we've realized that the algorithms support outrage and things that will really shock you, right? Or will make you cringe. And like people will have their own definitions, but that's what the algorithms push. And I think every social media content creator has realized that. In fact, one of the comments I saw on our last episode is, thank God in the time of the India's Got Latent drama, we actually have a long format, sensible, objective conversation going on as well. So I think everybody's trying to latch on to this. Let's play the algorithm and let's give the audience what they want, because that's what Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts is sort of encouraging. And in a way, every creator is trying to make a buck, right? So, I mean, I don't know how these individuals are in real life, but I mean, in the end, it's all scripted, right? It was like, बचपन में जब हम लोग WWF देखते थे ना, बहुत मजा आता था कि ओ हो क्या हो रहा है करके. And like, I almost cried when I realized that it's all fucking scripted. So, even the outrage post that is all again to grab eyeballs, right? Like, if you just think about it objectively, okay, there was a mistake, and I mean, maybe it was not a mistake, it was done on purpose. They realized that they crossed the line, and things are spiraling out of control. But there has to be some logic behind not spending too much time on this and moving on, right? Like, there are bigger things that I think India needs to solve for. And part of it, actually, one of the biggest, and we are almost feeding into it. The biggest thing we need to solve for is stop spending time on outrage and extreme things and focus on the fundamentals, right? But we don't seem to be doing that by feeding into this frenzy. So I don't know where it goes, but that's at least my take.
No doubt in US, I think YouTube is claiming that they are bigger than TV now because of all these, newer things. I would call this as, isn't this something like soft dragging? Wherein you take on people on stage. I actually, have seen quite a few episodes. In between, it became a little bit of like nighttime before sleeping thing. I haven't seen the recent fiasco. Surprisingly, it didn't reach me. I'm not on social media, so it hasn't reached me. I got to know over this weekend that something like this has happened. But I think because of the kind of content, something like this was probably like writing on the wall. It was coming. It was about when, because the format itself was like, you're taking on people, and it was matter of time, in my view, that something would trigger and this will get banned.
Yeah. No, I think I completely agree. I think it is very clear at some point that. So yesterday I was on a call with YouTube, and they effectively told me that we were like, boss, barbershop views to subscriber ratios are going down significantly, and I feel like the content is getting better. Shareability has gone up, average view duration has gone up, but views have come down. This makes no sense to me. And they eventually just said ki yaar, YouTube is a black box, but frankly, what works is if you're talking about something that is relevant to the audience, it will get shown. If it is not relevant to the audience, it will stay in a small echo chamber of, kind of loyal subscribers. So you have to talk about recent things, you have to talk about them. So now everyone is talking, so Revant, you're right. Everyone is riding the wave, and then let the wave become a tsunami over a period of time, right? But I think there are 2-3 things. One is that there is just a whole lot of unregulated content that is creating impact on the regular citizen on social media, and it is completely unregulated. I think, Revant, in your world, health, for example, there is just 99% of it is hogwash, unscientific, sometimes dangerous stuff that is going around, and no one's regulating it. So at some point, if it starts having an impact on people, so when news became mainstream, 93, 94, 95, we had a broadcast bill that came out, and you had to kind of, there were certain things you had to kind of live up to if you're a broadcaster or if you're a network. And I think that has not really changed over the last, 30 years. And there is now a fair amount. 2023 was stable that, on social media now impacting people at a much larger scale. It cannot just be treated as influencer anymore. Creators also are news channels in their own right. So that's the thesis, that it has to be regulated. Now, some people will say this is impingement of free speech and all of that, and some people will say, no, boss, this is important for the fabric of society. And if you are going to be impactful, you have to follow certain rules that are important. The other one, which I think is extremely interesting, is again, this is like few conversations with folks at Google and folks at Hotstar and so on. So Google ad revenues, for example, are in the 32-33,000 crore range, okay, per year, growing at a slower rate. Meta is in the 23-24,000 crore range, but growing faster, right? So ad revenues are kind of moving from Google to Meta, but these two are like the big dogs there. And I think there is a feeling that a lot of creators are kind of creating that pull, right? People stay on these platforms because of creators, and that's where then brands go, and that's where ad revenues go. But it is completely moving. Like I'm on a group of creators. A lot of creators kind of one of them said that Samay's one Instagram story gets more views than Republic's entire weekly audiences. So and he was like, I'm not kidding. This is not a joke. This is not an exaggeration. One of his stories kind of got more views than the weekly this thing. And now people are thinking that how do we get ad sales into like a Jio-Hotstar place and compete with Meta and YouTube in a relevant way. And I think so. If one is, of course, you take top talent. So if you see top talent at some of the Indian OTTs or Jio-Hotstar, it's people who move from Google and Meta. They're at the top, right? And then the second, you take talent, and then what is you take supply, and supply is creators. So whether it's a Munawar Farooqi or now you see Jio-Hotstar has own podcast and like everything, right? So then there is now a view that how do we move? And then the third is, of course, you say that if brands want to associate, do you want to associate with controversial, morally unsound places, or do you want to do it where families can come and watch, like family shows and so on? So I think there are 2-3 kind of things that kind of, at least I am observing, which is just beyond. Of course, I had a 45-minute chat with my mom about how the moral fabric of Gen Z is intact, and it's not like they all kind of think about pornography 24/7. But she's in that mode that, like, look at what people are. So there is some amount of outrage which is genuine, but I think it is genuinely fueled by a lot of stories that are being told at tables that most people don't have the seat at. So that's my view, at least.
I mean, what you're insinuating is, are you effectively saying that a lot of this witch hunt is,
Manufactured.
yeah,
Yeah, that is very clear, no? Isn't that very clear? Like, if you just see, like, if you see a lot of the outrage is, so I have been at the receiving end of outrage before. And the moment you know that there is an agenda behind it, it could be a competitor. Like, at that time, I still don't know who it was. But someone was now paying people to copy paste the same text and pull it up as outrage. So if you are outraged, you will write your own stuff. As either you're a bot or you're going to write your own stuff. Your outrage cannot be copy paste. Some of it could be, but mostly if you are outraged, you'll kind of write your own language, or you'll say something, you'll give galley, whatever, right? But here they're the same, like the long messages copy pasted. So somewhere there is some amount of that is happening. That is very clear. I think that no one will debate. And this outrage is also kind of being fueled very, very clearly. Now, who is doing it? Why they're doing it? Now, that they're doing it is clear. Who and why, we don't know. So we can only observe, the kind of trends and what is at stake. In my view, the other two things at stake. But I think I do think, frankly, as a creator, and Bombay Shaving Company works with creators a lot. I personally run barbershop. We do Asymmetric together. I do think that the regulation is critical, because I find myself as a consumer of content genuinely having to double, especially with AI now coming, it becomes like 100x bigger issue. But I have to double check कि ये सही बोल रहा है नहीं, especially on health. What supplement should take? Revant, we discuss what supplement should take. Some people have 1,000 things to say. Yaar. You can't give every quack a platform, and then just because audiences like Navjot Singh Sidhu and the cancer treatment, there is just like a lot of, like, it just went all over, and a lot of people kind of removed their cancer patients from hospital and started giving them Navjot Singh Sidhu's diet. It worked for his wife, but if you give that kind of platform for that kind of messaging, it could have ramifications. So I think regulation is needed. There's no doubt about it. Of that,
Isn't that like what at least Facebook or Meta is doing? They actually did away with any fact-checking, content moderation this year. Post Trump came in.
Even X, for example, is free speech. That's the thing, right? Now, what is the cost of free speech? Does free speech come without responsibility of free speech? Because right now, if you tell this, who's holding the person for? Like, say someone says that you have this supplement and you'll do well, and then at the end of the day, people follow that and 5 of them die. Who's taking accountability for it? No one. And India, that way, is a country which is fairly conservative on these things, and we should be, because I think our weakest denominator is a genuinely, a weak person who will follow this just because they want to live a better life in some shape or form as a developing country. So if you want to protect them, and the government's job is to protect them, regulations, we cannot follow Meta and X's model, which might work in the US. I'm a big proponent of free speech, but I also believe it comes with responsibility.
You mean to say the way RBI has regulated the money part of it and protected citizens, similarly, there is a need for, even on open speech, a regulation which is tight for some of these frauds or negative consequences, which might be like very, very obvious.
Yeah. So you
I think health is very clear, but some of the other things are like not so
finance
obvious.
And no?
Finance is clear. But some of these other things now, let's say, what happened in the episode is probably neither financial nor health. Is just,
that is a very good point.
But those also may have second, third order effect.
Yes. So now there is now people, now here is where things become fairly difficult to kind of, because now you can say, hey, whose morality is it really? Is it yours? Is it mine? Because then you can never stop. And then then it's a very slippery slope towards saying you can only say this or you cannot say that. So I am a huge believer in the Indian governmental process in general, where I feel like I think the intention is right. And whatever we think about the party in power, party in opposition, their own morals, etc., I think the governmental process, the legislative process should account for differences. And I hope it doesn't go down that road, frankly. But is there some regulation that is needed? Yes, I think it is needed. I don't think we can be like the US on this. We are a very high trust society, यार. We are a high trust society. सामने वाला बंदा बोल रहा है कुछ, वो खुद फिट लग रहा है. उसने बोल दिया कि like Liver King type people in India can create havoc.
नहीं, I think we are low trust, but जब भी कोई हमें अच्छी story बताता है तो हम मतलब our believability on stories are or like well said story is very, very high without fact checking.
Because not because of who we are as people, but because where we are economically. We will latch onto anything to build better, which is fine. So you want to live a better life, you will latch on to someone telling you should do SIPs or you should do, which is fine. I think people should influence in the right way. And we've seen like the mutual fund market kind of really go up because of a lot of this influence. Some of the positives are very, very clear. But, people, it leaves people vulnerable also, no? Because if that's the way you're going, then you leave people vulnerable. Liver King, that guy who eats raw meat all the time. India might look crazy given hygiene situations and so on.
It's like what, a carnivore diet?
Raw carnivore diet. Liver King basically hunts and eats the animal as is. No fire, no nothing.
कि मतलब जैसे हम 10,000 साल से जीते आ रहे हैं, our bodies are used to that, so that's why we should do it.
Pre-fire. Diet. But anyways,
आप ज़्यादा ये नहीं कर रहे. Like I keep seeing a lot of these narratives that our bodies have evolved over 100,000 years, so this is what they need, which is true. But I think sometimes I also wonder if we should train. I don't know, maybe we are too old, but at least I keep thinking if I should train my kid to be ready for the new world normal that it is, right? Like, versus try to say कि because our bodies are like this only, तो आपको यही करना चाहिए. Like, I don't know if you saw the latest All-In where Naval spoke about his parenting style. I was really, really impressed with, those views where he said कि math करो, computer programming करो और reading करो. So basically, forget all of that, right? That is the how. The what is, can I prepare my children for high agency? Because everything else will get solved. The only thing that will get you ahead in life is agency. And agency होगा तो तुम खुद figure out कर लोगे answer क्या है करके. Like, you don't need to be told कि sugar खराब है. You don't need to be told कि 7 बजे खाना खा लो, right? Essentially, you have the agency to figure out the answers yourself. That is what you can prepare the children for. The rest is just noise.
Fully agree.
Right? But that change, what Chirag said, कि we are a low trust nation, but we love great storytelling to an extent.
We are highly gullible.
बहुत gullible है. बहुत ज़्यादा gullible है उस sense में. Then I agree. And you're right, Chandru. This happens in health quite significantly. Like
Revant, I think it happens everywhere. Health consequences are like very, very tangible.
Yeah.
Very tangible. You don't do something right. Like, and I've heard stories like on the previous conversation that, our bodies are not meant for marathon running. Right. And the same example that 10,000 years ago, we were not running like 21 kilometers or 42 kilometers in 4 hours. Right. Do I believe that story? Do I not believe that story? At least the person I'm saying that, okay, whatever it was, but I can today run. I will take that as a challenge and see that, okay, is that answer suits me or not? But all of these things, you will have a story for this side also, that side also. And depending on who you follow, social media will give you that kind of a coverage and you will have that worldview.
Yeah.
रियल एस्टेट देख लो यार. आप सोचो कि जो रेगुलर मिडिल क्लास इंसान है 15-20 साल पूंजी बना के बचा के he will save for one house that he or she is going to buy. Can you imagine how much diligence that person should be doing on an investment? But look at how much fraud happens there, how much trust people have just because a broker or a builder or someone has said something nice or they are nice, chai coffee pila diya. They've just never seen that, right? So suddenly one 50 lakh decision, 80 lakh decision suddenly goes down the drain. So I do feel like we are a gullible society and for the right reasons, yeah. Like I think we are in that stage of development where we need to be protected. My view is the larger group of the larger demographic in India needs protection. I mean, Pune mein, I still cannot believe that Pune two-wheeler riders used to protest on the helmet law that we don't want to wear helmets. Pune is one of the few cities that continues to not have a rule for helmet wearing for two-wheelers.
Pillion riders are exempted, right?
No, both are exempted. Both are exempted. Pune mein people don't wear helmets because they feel it's uncomfortable. It comes in the way of. Oh, I remember Marathi mein log bolte the ki मला इकडचं नाही दिसणार तिकडचं नाही दिसणार तर माझा ऍक्सिडेंट होईल तेव्हा कोण बोलेल मी हेल्मेटमुळे मेलो म्हणून. I was like the whole world.
But you like to explain me this तंदनों को आता है मुझे थोड़ा आता है.
तो मराठी में बोलते कि मैं इधर ना उधर देख सकता हूँ ना हेलमेट की वजह से तो उसकी वजह से मेरा एक्सीडेंट होगा और मैं मर जाऊंगा तो तुम्हारी हेलमेट की वजह से मरा तब कौन मेरे को कुछ बचाएगा तब तुम्हारा. So this is a group of people that should like we should not listen to just to protect them because they're self-harming in their thought. Broadly. So India में मेरे को लगता है लोग people should be protected sometimes in their own stupidity also. Because we and that gullible nature then goes everywhere. Then you will listen to it also.
Yeah. Interesting है तो never ending topic है because अब इसमें I'm sure there'll be some comment on this episode saying but there are intelligent people and then there are dumb people. You can't solve for dumb people. You know, ये सब भी end में तो there is no end to this debate, right? It's a very hard. I think our heterogeneity really makes it hard to have common laws. Yeah, we're just too heterogeneous as a. I mean, I sometimes think, क्या historical struggle हुआ रहेगा यार to get all the states together and say कि यार ये country होगा architects. Just think about it, right? Look, today if we see on social media, it's so like the algorithms feed you different things, right? But like just go back 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years and like how did we even get this country together itself seems like a massive challenge. Yeah. But the kudos to all those folks who pulled it off. But keeping this together also is a struggle because the variation in views is so stark. Or maybe it's also social media amplifying a lot of it. थोड़ा सा वो भी है ना अब इसमें भी outrage बहुत जल्दी हो जाते हैं.
पहले रीच प्रॉब्लम था अभी रीच प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. आई थिंक नाउ इट्स अबाउट व्हाट यू वांट टू हियर एंड देन इट गेट्स एम्पलीफाइड इवन मोर.
Another thing about this is like, you know, coming back to the main topic on Ranveer and Samay, like I think for some creators this is bread and butter. See, the world of Gen Z is about, you know, not having a boss, you know, making my own future. Even for us as entrepreneurs, we tell people to build their own life. A lot of them have looked at content creation as a place to go and kind of create a business. And Ranveer is probably top of the list in terms of monetization of his and all that. It all ends overnight, yaar. It all ends because no one will want to show up on that show now, just out of pure risk management, right? And all the 20, 30 people that he employs now, you know, does he ever come back? Does he not come back? And uske chakkar mein, I think Samay also, for example, India's got later was a money-making machine for the most part. It's ended. The YouTube videos are gone. And sure, Samay will have to start from some place. I can go back to, I don't know whether he will be allowed to do shows as openly, whether audio. Like tomorrow, if someone tells me to go for a Samay Ranveer show, I'll be like, boss, wahan pe kuch to machega. I would rather stay away. So audiences also can. So this.
But we have short memory, to be honest, Shantanu. Like if I look at how well Tanmay has done, even post the AIB, I think if you go back 9 years, there was a similar outrage, right? When AIB did the roast. There were FIRs and stuff like that. But there was a 2-year gap, and then of course it was gradual and it was painful. It was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of talent. But I think because if you inherently have agency, I can go back to that. Right? If you have agency and if you have talent, you know, the world is there to reward you for that.
But on that note, I think we can segue into the next topic, Jio-Hotstar, because I think we touched upon it in this. City, Harvey, what are your thoughts?
City का start होगा बढ़िया मुझको.
Interesting. So yeah, I think this is one of the fascinating. I would say it's a master plan in the making. Being executed by Jio. I would, if we've all seen the way they went about acquiring Big Bazaar. I think it's from the same playbook. It's quite fascinating if you read the story that how it has happened, and from the point being that Hotstar was by far the number one OTT in India. Right, I'll take you through some of the story that 2015 Star India launched Hotstar, a free platform for TV shows and OTT. And then 2017 is when it actually changed, when they got the IPL rights. So they got the IPL rights for 5 years, $2 billion. And as it is said that India, if you want to win OTT, you need to have cricket. What changed, I think, after that was 2019, Disney bought Fox, which meant, and Fox owned Star, and then Star owned Star India, and Star India owned Hotstar. So Disney ended up owning Hotstar, like in that way. And by that time, I think it had reached quite a phenomenal scale. By 2021, there were 51 million subscribers, right? So which was much higher than Netflix in India. Netflix in India, by the way, is only like 10% of this. 6 million subscribers. Amazon Prime is 20 million odd, right? So that's the kind of scale. And to give you more numbers, in FY22, operating revenue of Disney Hotstar was upwards of 3,000 crores. So they were, and the loss had been merely like 300 crores. So only 10% loss. It was quite clear that they can become profitable from here, right? So what was definitely working for Hotstar? Biggest live streaming event IPL was with them. Hotstar, and during IPL we've seen those big numbers which get flashed right on the right top screen. So they had 25 million concurrent viewers during IPL. Bundling strategy was going well for Hotstar. They had a lot of content from HBO, Star Sports, Marvel, Disney. Affordable pricing they launched $499 per year for mobile, $14.99 for premium desktop. So Disney had everything: sports, local content, Hollywood dominance. So in my view, they were untouchable. Now, at that point, if you are Jio, how do you think about that? Okay, I want to get into this game, and we know that when Jio wants to enter into a game, they don't want to play number 2, right? So that was the large context, and what we've seen is like quite phenomenal, because it started with that. I think in 2023 IPL, what Jio did was the masterstroke, wherein they said they won the IPL rights. They paid almost $3 billion to get the IPL rights.
I think the rights got split first, right? OTT rights were separately sold and the TV rights were sold separately.
TV rights were with Star, yeah.
Jio said, we'll take the OTT rights, and they really bid so much. It was a crazy amount for just OTT rights.
Just OTT rights, and first year they said that IPL is free. So Jio is free, right? Which was again one of those upfront investment would they have been in their telco offerings as well. Just go out and capture market share, just ensure that competition is no more there. That kind of strategy. What it led to was there was a subscriber exodus. So Disney Hotstar lost almost 24 million subscribers in 6 months as users migrated to Jio. So, imagine if you were running Hotstar, suddenly you are seeing that, okay, one big, large acquisition hook is gone. Subscribers are going. And, then of course, advertising revenues are going. They also snatched HBO and NBC content. So that was not exclusive. So they also got that in. And, then in my view, they kind of made Disney desperate. That, one, it is free, subscribers are moving. We are going to continue to go for market share. Largest sporting channel is with us. So then what do you do? Right? What do you do? I think, and my sense is that I was just thinking, why would then, after having all of this, that they had channels, they had subscribers coming in, they had rights, 5-year rights at least. So why would you then, you would need Disney Hotstar? You have everything. At least you have right to play, right to win. I think they still need tech. They still needed that prowess in terms of, scale what Disney Hotstar has built. By the way, I think they're truly like one of those Indian companies which have done really, really well in terms of optimizing for OTT play. Really like the way they have innovated recently on the Max View on phone, wherein there is I don't know if you guys have seen, it's like quite fantastic. I think Hotstar has done a lot of innovation on that front in terms of scale, in terms of ensuring concurrencies there, which I still feel that there is a lot of gap between Indian OTT players and what Hotstar could achieve, or where Netflix is. So my sense was that they actually also wanted that technology layer as well as tech folks to get to Jio as well. Otherwise, I couldn't figure out any other reason that why would, or would love to know from you guys that after doing all of that and acquiring everything from pieces, they had all the rights to, build it on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a question. What was the amount? 5 billion, right? What was Disney Hotstar valued at? Or was the combined entity valued at 5 billion?
What I'm seeing is like the combined entity has a 63-64% ownership by Reliance and 36% ownership by
it was a merger, effectively.
It's a
It was
merger.
a merger where there was a valuation was set कि अच्छा तुम्हारा इतना मेरा इतना है करके, और वो क्या था नंबर एक बार बता.
I'll tell you, Disney is 37%, Reliance and Viacom 18 is 64%. And I think Reliance has infused
the alliance is
$1
valued
billion into the JV. So they end up owning like 15-16% in the company. JV is valued at $8.5 billion.
8.5 billion. So
you're
5 billion
roughly
is
valuing-
Reliance's stake. 5 billion is Reliance's stake. 3.5 billion is probably 3 billion is Disney's stake.
So your hypothesis, Chirag, is that why would Jio-Hotstar pay $3 billion? Jio pay $3 billion for Disney Hotstar. If they have IPL, if they have everything else, it could ideally be tech. My view is, actually, maybe the answer lies in your numbers, right? You said 55 million subscribers, of which 25 million moved very quickly when IPL shifted.
Year one, yeah, year one.
Even beyond that, maybe at the bottom, where before the deal was struck, I'm assuming Disney Hotstar would have at least 15-20 million subscribers left after all the exodus had happened. And people would have both, right? Obviously, I had Jio Cinema because I wanted to watch IPL. And I also had Disney Hotstar because I just continued to enjoy Disney Hotstar, whatever came on Disney Hotstar. Like, I think the answer lies in the quality of customer and the ARPU. See, today, and if you go back to what Jio did, right? Jio effectively made telecom almost free, made data almost free. And then gradually over the last 8 years, I don't know if you've tracked it, but their ARPUs have risen significantly, right? They and Airtel now actually make significant ARPU per user, which is, I think, 4 times what they used to make 4 years back. They have jacked up the prices, and because there is no option, right? It's a duopoly between these two, and both of them have to show enough EBITDA and recoup all the capex that they've done. So the same thing will have to happen here. Today they may say everything is free, but eventually they'll have to make a lot more money from these subscribers. And the subscribers that switch just for IPL, I don't know if they are going to be the ones who are going to pay a lot. But the 20 million subscribers who stuck with Disney Hotstar and they're paying for both apps, in my view, could be the most premium user base. We used 20 million as a number for Amazon Prime, yet it's 1,500 rupees a year just to get delivery faster, right? I think that user base.
Two Revant number there is Netflix number. I think Amazon also, you end up buying, or you don't go out and buy Amazon Prime OTT. You end up buying for free delivery and that whole package. Prime comes along with it. I think Netflix is the true one where you actually buy a OTT subscription. That's only 6 million people. And that's, by the way, like that, but in spite of Netflix lowering the cost a lot, it's still very expensive from India standards. Just to give what we are looking at, how much is Hotstar today on mobile? 500 rupees a year?
Yes, 999 a year.
999 a year. This is, on Netflix is still 149 rupees a month on mobile, right? So you can imagine that that's like very, very expensive from India standards. So that 6 million base is like the cream. Are you saying that's one use case which didn't go to Jio? My sense is they would have both. Because I think IPL is the clear hook in India. By the way,
I don't disagree.
IPL also. Premier League is with Hotstar.
Correct. So I think you have to look at the most premium content, which is EPL. There's the entire Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel. I mean, Marvel is huge in India also, right? So for you to have access, like every kid today enjoys watching all the Marvel movies, and the only Disney Hotstar has it, right? So Disney, I don't know if you remember, but Disney also pulled out all its titles from Netflix. So there is almost exclusivity on all Disney titles that is only with Disney. Now, if you want the most premium user base who's willing to pay a decent amount of money, but they want to watch EPL, they want to have access to Disney titles, in the end, you could keep licensing it. But I think by principle, Disney, because they pulled out of Netflix, they don't work with anybody else now. Because they launched Disney Plus in the US and they said, we will be full stack. हम content भी खुद ही बनाएंगे, distribution भी हम ही करेंगे. We will not lease our titles anywhere else. And therefore, there is inherent value to the Disney titles or Fox, because ideally EPL is through Fox. So Fox, Disney, each of these things. And I think there are a bunch of other titles as well. I think it's Peacock Studios. I think there are a bunch of things that comes along with Disney as part of that network, which just gives you the more premium user base in India. And I don't know whether it's worth 3 billion, but maybe a function of tech as well as the premium user base. Somewhere you could have the answer. Also, I don't know if people are aware, but Uday Shankar built Star in India, and he's back at the helm of Jio-Hotstar, right? I mean, Bodhi Tree, which is also an equity holder in this, largely it's Uday Shankar who built. I mean, he's the guy who's built Star in India. He's the guy who took Hotstar to where it is. He's the guy back at the helm leading Jio-Hotstar and actually building the entire strategy for Jio Cinema, which they knew eventually would become Jio-Hotstar. I think they brought him in with the thought ki boss, hum to ye karne wale karke, how do we figure this out? So he knows the inside out of how the Star system also works because he built it, right? So
But what is interesting in the at the leadership level is Kiran Mani, right? He's a seasoned Google guy who's now coming and leading the entertainment division. So now there's like 100 plus channels, IPL, EPL, ICC tournaments, by the way, the Marvel Universe, Disney, this thing. So all that kind of sits together, and you have someone from Google and of course Mr. Uday Shankar who's kind of figured this out. I think the wheels are very much in motion for exclusive high quality stuff. Also, they have to pay back a lot to BCCI for IPL. That is a huge.
Yeah, it's super expensive. The rights.
45,000 crore liability, sitting on them. They've recouped probably 8 to 10,000 crores till now.
Yeah, I worry about the ad rates now because it's a monopoly now. Like there is
exactly.
no other place to.
That's this thing which we should be discussing, that it's clear monopoly now, and how does, let's say, CCI look at all of this? Maybe that's a separate thing, but what you're saying is actually going to happen, that advertiser rates are going to shoot because now there is this huge Reliance, by the way, now has TV rights as well. So you have to go to, if you want to advertise on IPL, you have to go through Reliance. There is no other way. And that's, I think, by far the biggest property in India in terms of advertising, which is available today.
Which is why YouTube is a huge threat now. See, that's the competition from an ad revenue standpoint, because now you suddenly bought this thing. You have this 45,000 crore bill to pay over whatever 4-5 years, and so now brands have to come. So now you figure out media, but how do brands continue not spend there, because it will get expensive. I think that's the one thing that we all have to kind of really look at.
I think another interesting thing here is that I was thinking that is it possible now to build a standalone OTT business in our country? Right, I'm seeing let's say
what happened to the Sony Z merger?
That has also not happened. That has not gone through. The Sony Z merger.
I think it was almost done, and it got stalled after the Jio-Hotstar deal, because I think they realized that it's going to be hard to create any value when these two other companies merge.
Some undercurrents for sure are there.
Media has always been a complicated business. Now with digital, YouTube and Meta playing this thing, then it becomes so much more complicated. And actually, you're right. I think Competition Commission of India should take cognizance. I think that's the important thing, because
yeah, but unfortunately, some of these games are played at a very high level. I'm sure again the conspiracy theorists would say that somebody would have lobbied to, because the CCI actually first stopped the Sony Z merger. And then the CCI has approved the Jio-Hotstar and Jio and Hotstar merger. So, I mean, conspiracy theorists would say that people who really want something know how to get it done. But in all of this, I actually now realize how much of a rabbit Elon Musk pulled out of his hat by buying X. Just think about it, right? Like, it's all about where are the eyeballs spending time. And I don't know if you guys saw the results, by the way. That company is throwing up $1 billion in EBITDA now. That company that was loss-making at $5 billion revenue is now throwing up $1 billion of plus of EBITDA at $2.5 billion of revenue. So revenue is half, but EBITDA is and people are great. It's like the buying price is now 35 times EBITDA, which is a very fair valuation if you think about it, right? And now he's using that platform to build X.A. I mean, it's just, I think वो तो अलग चला जाता है हमेशा आगे, वो थोड़ा आगे ही चलते हैं हमसे. But just think about it, right? Like buying eyeballs and where people spend time, just ensuring that you can control where people spend time. And if you can control that channel, how much control is in the hand of that individual?
Well, actually, you can win an election, man.
Yeah. It's just crazy, the games, the levels at which games are played. And here we are getting outraged about something on YouTube when the game is being played between the अलग level पे game चल रही है.
I totally agree. That's the thing now. Thoda smoke and mirrors bhi hai na, the distraction.
Yeah.
I'm kind of something bigger is happening.
I don't know if you guys have realized this, but everything is becoming like TikTok started this. All the Chinese apps had this very heavy engagement-led reach, right? Like if you remember when TikTok was in India, anybody with like 100 followers would also go viral because the algorithm pushed creators to go viral, right? Through a heavy engagement. And Reels was not that. Shorts was not that. It was largely to your followers. But very subtly over the last 6 to 12 months, every social media platform has transformed, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's X, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, to the same model that has made TikTok famous, which is doesn't matter what your followership is. You can actually go viral even with a small amount of followership. There are, I think, a bigger reason for them to do this is because they also realize that someone like Mr. Beast is becoming more powerful than the platform. Like, if Mr. Beast ko hi views aayenge, like, where is the cold start? Like, no new creator would come up. And without a creator, people would not spend more time on YouTube or an Instagram. So you have to encourage reach from new creators and not have everything lopsided in the favor of the large creators who have existing following. So, and everybody's followed that because they've realized that if they don't get new creators, people won't be able to get access to new content. And then how will they spend more time? And since that algo change, it's no surprise that people's time on social media has actually gone up almost 50% in the last 1 year. It's like an exponential growth because the algorithms are just feeding you not just content that you continue to like and engage with, but also because now the creators, it's a supply-demand game, right? The supply is increasing at such an astronomical pace because everybody is getting reach. Everybody's getting maybe able to go viral because they have figured out that, okay, I just need to be a little outrageous and, get engagement. And the demand is just getting more and more hooked. So it's interesting where we seem to be headed with this.
It's not reach, Reva. There's the promise of reach. So there are so many creators who are putting out content day after day after day, 500 views, 200 views. But just some friend has hit 2 million with just 1,000 followers. They're like, okay, at some point that will be me and then my life will change. So there is for every video that goes viral, there are millions that have languished at 100 view rates, right? And especially in short form. So log lage hue hain, creators lage hue hain, log doom scrolling kar rahe hain. But you're right, because no one creator or no group can become bigger than the platform. And I mean, that is what even this incident shows, that you can become big and you can be influential. But when you're alone, you're alone. Platform will never protect. A platform and other will distance itself completely. What is YouTube like? Who's ever raised a finger at YouTube on this? Frankly, if it was a Kapil Sharma situation, it would be a Sony issue as much as it would be a Kapil Sharma issue.
Fair point.
There's no institutional backing also.
Yeah. And that's why investors love platforms. Na? खराब खाना आया तो थोड़ी कोई स्विगी को गाली दे रहा है. तो बोल रहे रेस्टोरेंट, वो तो बोल रहे रेटिंग देखो 3.4 है. आप क्यों ऑर्डर कर रहे हो 3.4 रेटिंग?
Go फिर के रेवंत स्विगी पे.
मतलब you are he's waiting. कहाँ से मैं?
नहीं ऐसे नहीं है. नहीं, I'm just saying कि मतलब नहीं शांतनु तेरे साथ नहीं हुआ. कितनी बार फ्लिपकार्ट विल सेंड एन ऑर्डर लेट, गाली अपने को पड़ती है.
Agree, fully agree.
उसने मिसप्लेस कर दिया, भाई मेरे को क्यों गाली दे रहे हैं? गाली तो अपने को ही पड़ती है. तो मैं सोच रहा हूँ यार, मैं टीम को बोल रहा हूँ क्या हो गया, तो नहीं सर फ्लिपकार्ट ने मिसप्लेस कर दिया ऑर्डर. तो आपने फिर हमको क्यों गाली पड़ रही है? Like they will not go and accept to the customer. I think it's our fault.
And Flipkart is too big. ये तो brand का issue है. Brand is called Flipkart. Flipkart is like ether. You can't complain to the ether, na? You complain to the person.
Beautiful businesses platforms.
Very interesting book called Finite and Infinite Games. So I have realized platform is an infinite game where you say मैं तो market बढ़ाऊंगा, other things are commodities. So brands will keep fighting, other people will keep fighting. Platform बना रहा है अपना, he's in the market expansion century 50-year vision kind of a game. You are so right. That's why we don't end up blaming YouTube for any kind of explicit content or Amazon for any other kind of late deliveries. It just falls on the brand, and other things though anyways is on the brand. That if product is bad, XYZ, that anyways is on brand. But even delivery, which let's say they are responsible for, that also is like restaurant ने late दिया होगा इसलिए late आया.
Yeah. That means, Shantanu, we are not supposed to sell our shares in GoKwik. You realize that, right? Like infinite game है. मतलब दिल से निकल गया चिराग का कि भाई मैं तो प्लेटफॉर्म बना रहा हूँ.
Wish we could ever reach there, but yeah, I think that should be aspiration for Silicon Valley companies or founders have realized this, that that's why they end up, everything starts with like, okay, we are going to build a platform, we are going to build an app store. I think those guys have realized that this is technology. Indians are getting there. It's probably a lot more second order thinking, in my view, than first order. You start with building software product, but then you realize that, you're better off building a platform and then helping enable people build more products on top of it.
No, absolutely.
But I think India का time है.
बढ़िया.
Interesting. I think I also, one of our favorite companies declared results last week, MamaEarth. we largely, I think it was the reversal of the trend again, wherein they were almost 500 crores back to 6% EBITDA, 25 crores of PAT. There, I think 2-3 observations there without deeping down. I think Varun made a earning call had a statement. Just one second. And they said that Honasa is now targeting revenue of 40 billion by FY30. So
$40
that's
billion.
double, 40 billion rupees. So 4,000 crores in FY30. So 5 years doubling.
This is what, 20%?
So that's,
figure?
yeah, less than 20%. So yeah, I was just thinking that have they like got down on their guidance? What do you guys read about it? Because it's still a company which is of course a poster boy bellwether of D2C, and also has been growing pretty much very, very fast before listing. Now they're giving the guidance of that they're going to double in the next 5 years. What do you guys read about it running brand businesses?
What was there a guidance on EBITDA margins? Because I'm assuming. Yeah, got it. So my read, at least, see, I whenever I meet any late stage investor or public market investor, the guidance is only one: ki boss. I can distill it into one very simple line. In their view, 2,000 crore revenue and 10% EBITDA is 200 crore EBITDA. 1,000 crore revenue and 20% EBITDA is also 200 crore EBITDA. The latter is what a public market investor prefers. They are like, revenue tum grow karte rahoge, but margin expansion becomes very hard at scale. So if you can throw up higher and higher margin, if you have a very strong margin business, try and compound on that, and it's okay to grow 15-20% year on year also. That's a very good growth. Like, for example, Unilever has a 25% EBITDA margin, but it is growing 4% year on year. So, for example, if you are a 20% EBITDA business, people would be very happy if you are growing 15% year on year. Right? So, my read is maybe if they have lowered their growth trajectory, it would be to sort of increase their EBITDA margins. So if they're at 5% or 6% EBITDA today, I'm sure the quest is to get to 10 as soon as possible and then eventually try and get to 15. Because the real value will come from free cash flow, right? In the end, the principles of finance don't change. You have to underwrite future cash flows, which is where the stock price, like there's an estimate on the stock price and people will say, is it underpriced, overpriced, should I buy, should I sell, etc. In the end, even today, it's close to a 7,500 crore valued business. If you take the long-term average of most of our bellwether stocks in FMCG, which are valued between 30 to 40 times forward EV EBITDA, you still need let's do simple calculation, right? For a 8,000 crore valuation, you will still need to have a 200 crore EBITDA. And today they are run rating close to 100, right? So for them to grow into this valuation, very fundamental investors will say, can you get to 200 crore EBITDA? So next year, can they get to 200? I'm sure that's a bigger focus for them versus trying to grow at 25%. So that would be my read, because that's how the stock market gives guidance. And I'm not even listed and that guidance is coming to me. So I'm pretty sure that that's the guidance being given to the management team at Honasa. Ki yaar, increase your EBITDA margins, throw up more cash for the revenue that you have, effectively show that you have very high quality revenue. In some ways, people look at gross margins and then contribution margins and then EBITDA as a precursor of quality of revenue. For them, it's that also becomes important to underwrite and take more long-term bets, because in the end, it's not that the mutual fund industry is going anywhere. SBI mutual fund is going to have more money to deploy tomorrow than that they had today. So they are looking to deploy more, but in the end, they need that high-quality revenue where they can say, I can take a 5-year bet on this company. Because revenue is high quality, growth they'll figure out.
Yeah, high quality revenue basically comes from just high repeat and concentration, which is the issue with like a MamaEarth type assortment driven sale for the longest time. Right? They would have to come up with new products every time. Same SKU growth is always a question analysts had. So I think these are all proxies for quality of revenue, right? Which is same SKU growth. Also, but my other counter to this is that if you have so much concentration of revenue, then isn't it an increased risk? Like you could always have a lead and Maggie type moment, which can kind of completely make the company vulnerable. So assortment is a good way to kind of de-risk that, as long as your EBITDA profiles are good. So now, if I was MamaEarth, I would be like, can I show an EBITDA margin profile, like let's say 4,000 crores, 600 crore EBITDA, right? In 2030, which kind of then gives you a 3x on if you look at the same multiples on EBITDA, you look at 3x of market capitalization, 2x of revenue, and 6x of EBITDA will probably happen if they're able to do this right. The question is, can they do that while doing assortment sale? And that'll be the interesting thing. That's where the strength of the brand will also come in then.
Yeah.
Very
I think what is
interesting. I
not
think
public,
this-
Chirag, is the core brand. So Honasa is MamaEarth and 5-6 other brands, right? The core brand MamaEarth growth has slowed down significantly.
I'll show you. We have a chart there. So this is Honasa's brand composition. Q3 last year versus Q3 this year. They did 488 crores.
Okay,
versus
so they have shown that
518
it's
crores.
actually degrown 10%, you're saying?
Yeah. So
Oh, no,
composition
this
is
absolute degrowth or this is composition? But if the number is
Composition
almost
is
the
gone
same,
down.
so then even the absolute would have...
would have gone down.
नहीं, absolute same है ना, 500 crore है. So 55% of 500 crore is much lower than
So I'm saying
65%
MamaEarth has
of 500
degrown.
crore.
All the degree.
Mamaearth has
Quarter-on-quarter.
So if your largest brand is not growing, then it's better to give a better lower growth guidance because the newer brands will, you don't know how fast they will grow and how large they can become. So, and I'm sure, I think this is again the refactoring that they're doing in terms of the offline supply chain. You know, they went through super stockists, now they're going direct. So to figure out करने time लगता है. One of the things that I also keep telling my team, जो मेरा worry है, is कि for you to pivot strategy in a large company ना, the amount of time it takes is just like strategy plus execution. Execution takes even longer because वो I hope हम अभी तक हाथी नहीं हुए, but वो हाथी को हिलाना बहुत मुश्किल होता है और लायन को हिलाना भी मुश्किल होता है. वो बोलते हैं ना चीता की तरह हो रहा होगा, but वो like when you are a 2000 crore company, I don't know if you can be a cheetah. Like I worry at our scale that we are no longer a cheetah, and that really infuriates me. So, but ये थोड़ा time तो लगेगा to make this
यार वो Revant वो
broader
calibrate
shift
करना
to happen.
itself is that your mindset change first. And you know, having worked at Bombay Shaving Company, Shantanu ने मुझे तो growth वाला बंदा बना दिया. So changing that mindset to EBITDA. I'm just thinking that what transition the company has gone through, that it's what 7-8 year old company, done fantastically well, got listed like the fastest way possible, and now are saying that okay, growth is no more the primary mandate. Mandate is let's get EBITDA. So it's like really, it's like really adult बन गए हम, right? In a fast track, adults on steroids. So I'm just thinking for all of us that at what point do you say that this matters more than this? It's a very high judgment zone, and it's very, very important for us because the goalpost which we set, the teams go after that, the company goes after that. If that goalpost is wrong, in some sense, public markets are real. They give you daily feedback, so you know that okay, if your goalpost is wrong. But in privates, you are figuring out on the way. So but it is quite fascinating for me.
No, I think even in that, we have to continuously look at the top decile companies which are public, which continue to innovate. Like go back to what InfoEdge has done, right? While they continuously kept compounding Naukri, they also built a venture fund and invested in Zomato, they invested in Policy Bazaar. And it's not surprising that both these companies are doing exactly the same, that while they have gone public and their core business is compounding, they are taking newer and newer bets. Right? Now, Zomato, which is now eternal, is an extreme example. But even Policy Bazaar is getting into healthcare, an insurance company getting into healthcare. Right? Yashish is going to lead that. They have raised capital separately for that. So the core business continues to compound with a steady management team. And the founder is like, bhai, ab next kya machana hai? Right? And I don't know if you realize this, but both of them were backed by InfoEdge, where Sanjeev Bikhchandani has 3 or 4 good, steady compounding businesses and continues to take alpha bets ki yaar future kaise dikhega karke. Right? So it's possible even in the public market, Chirag, but it requires a very, very, very high conviction and what you said, I think a very high judgment ability in the founder or the CEO, and to have that management team that I can split these teams and this team will continue to compound and give me more and more cash flow, higher EBITDA. And this team will next big thing figure out karenge. Very rare skill set, but I think the best founders are able to do it. And I think Avnish uses this word, right? The digital industrialists are able to think that way. Like we had core industrialists in the Ambanis and the Tatas who could think like that कि भाई हम सब कुछ करेंगे, एक business set करेंगे, वो बढ़िया करेंगे, फिर next business करेंगे, right? For them, capital was not a constraint. They would not think in constraints. And now there is this emerging crop of digital industrialists. वो अलग कि ठीक है, food delivery बन गया, अब हम grocery करेंगे, grocery होगा, अब going out करेंगे, going out हो गया, अब हम AI करेंगे, AI हो गया, like it will just keep happening, right? And it's not about age. Yashish Dahiya is quite old, but he still has the energy and the agency to say कि यार healthcare is broken, let's fix healthcare, I'll build a hospital, right? Which is so amazing to see.
That is also that is what is happening in that industry, right? So you would never thought a provider will get into insurance. Narayana got into insurance. Now we're seeing Policy Bazaar saying, oh, they're coming into our world, so we will go into their world. So then there's the going from insurance into provider.
Correct. But if you look at the Narayana family, right, the family who runs Narayana Healthcare, they were always known as industrialists, जो ना 50 साल से बड़ा सोचते हैं करके. What is encouraging to see that new age founders, even in spite of having 5, 10%, 15% shareholding, are thinking like industrialists. कि भाई इट्स नॉट कि मेरे को घर पैसे लेके जाना है, कि मेरे को अपने लेगेसी छोड़ना है, मेरे 3 बच्चों के लिए बिजनेस बना रहा हूँ. They are just saying it's a problem worth solving. I still have agency, I have health on my side. I want to solve this problem as well, right? And create shareholder value, by the way, at the same time. Shareholders are more than happy, right? I know there is a temporary, worry on how much burn the quick commerce business would have, but I think if past history suggests that company, which is eternal, it's so great, right? The way they have rebranded and said कि भाई हम तो अब और 10 साल सोचेंगे करके. And this used to, we used to worship Bezos and look at China, they built e-commerce, then they built this, then they built that. I think we have the right inspiration from the West, let's say from China, but I think we are building a lot of inspiring leaders. Now we have a lot of inspiring leaders in India as well. And again, I think someone like Sanjeev Bichchandran is very underrated in that sense. Not enough is spoken about that person and how much, what it takes to run 3-4 different kind of businesses, all profitable, then build a venture arm and, get 2 decacons potentially from that. And, it's almost like paying it forward, right? And that culture continues in those companies as well. So maybe Shantanu, you should try and get him on one of the episodes. Yeah, I would love to sort of understand
his thinking behind
I know they've, yeah, I know, and there were comments saying, you should try to evaluate BHEL's 17 quarters of profitability or 17 years of, there were so many comments, but we are not public market experts, but we would be very happy to take your guidance and get the founders of the management teams who are building listed companies in a very different way as well. I think that name, should be top of our list.
Yeah, let's begin that section. I think Shantanu, you can take up some of those comments, and for sure, we will pick them up. I'm sure वो बढ़ जाएंगे, so we'll have to then screen over time. But
Soumya Ganguly, keep the pool alive. I learned so much finance, MBA terms, and about business in general. Watched all of the asymmetrics till now, and maybe 50% of Shantanu's barbershop. So बढ़िया, asymmetric has gone ahead of barbershop. ये तो सही है. My weekend starts with your podcast. Please keep it going. PK, I don't know what the name is, but thank you, PK. Thank you so much. Such a breather to India's got latent controversies. So I'm sorry, yaar, Bhavesh. Today the episode may not be a breather, but yeah, thank you so much. Interesting highlights across sectors. Don't stop. Such a gem of a pod. So good to read this, right? I think
I love this one from Gopesh. I'm a student from NMIMS and this is the best strategy class I attend every week. Practical exposure, etc., etc., etc. Good. Thank you, Gopesh, for the comment. And I hope, please don't, I hope you don't use some of the learnings here in doing CP in class. Listen to your professor.
You should. I would strongly recommend it. But think about Revant. I think your introduction really hit a chord with Gopesh because he's saying I'm too lazy to comment, but I'm doing it right now because Revant's introduction really made me emotionally triggered.
Thank you, Gopesh, for that feedback and study hard, yaar. College is also important. Just don't spend all your time on YouTube. This is Atharva has figured us out. Best part of our early scale channel, every feedback is read, reacted or implemented. So here we are doing it live.
BSNL first profitable quarter after 17 years, Atharva wants us to cover.
भाई कोई एक्सपर्ट को ले आते हैं, ये तो मेरे को बिजनेस ही समझ में नहीं आता है.
They would have sold some real estate and then become profitable for one.
और मे भी LIC के शेयर्स रखे होंगे, वो बेच दिए होंगे कुछ. Anyway, sorry for the jokes. We'll figure this out, guys, and we'll come back on this. While I don't have Whoop, I have noticed look quality improve with the air purifier. I do that, by the way, Shantanu. I don't keep it on all night. There's actually a weird thing I've noticed that the air becomes very dry in the room. And because I'm a mouth breather, I wake up actually with a very dry mouth. But I do switch on the air purifier, get the AQI to green, get it below 10, and then switch it off. And I'm assuming that room band hai to pure raat mein fir AQI kharab nahi hona chahiye. But I think this is a interesting thing that you should try. Lower AQI could actually give you a better restorative sleep.
Shantanu must be doing it, na? Udhar to
नहीं यार,
Shantanu in Delhi to it's neat, na?
No, yeah, I don't like the purifier at night. So I keep the windows closed. And the purifier is kind of centrally located in the house, the Dyson one. तो उसमें AQI आ जाता है like under 50 during the day. फिर रात को बंद कर देता हूँ मैं because I agree with Revant. थोड़ा वो dryness हो जाता है उसमें.
The air becomes very dry in the inside the house then. But once it goes on green, then you switch it off. तो मैं on करता हूँ and सोने के पहले off कर देता हूँ फिर.
Same.
So you are suggesting that let's say somebody uses it, then they also should be putting a humidifier alongside it, just to ensure that humidity also.
Yeah, but दो चीज क्यों करना है? Like एक बात बता ना, अगर तेरा पूरा घर बंद है, right? तूने एयर प्यूरिफायर करके प्यूरिफाई कर दी है एयर थोड़ी सी. बंद घर में क्या ही खराब हो जाएगा पूरे रात में? So you don't need it all night, no? Think about it.
नहीं, मेरे को थोड़ा humidifier वाला issue भी है, इसलिए भी पूछ रहा था. I have a dry eye problem.
Find my house. Sorry, I can't see you guys looking at my screen. Can you get a mutual fund house guy next to explain? Avnish, your prayers have been answered. I think Revant has opened up his Rolodex and gone to a few friends of his. I think we should have this on for you in the next month or so.
We have one request: add source of whatever you get the stats from. Format of source can be in whichever you prefer, as long as it's verifiable. ये कर लेते हैं ना? It's important that people don't question the sources that we have for the data. We increase import tax from China. Let's hope we increase import tax from China. And don't let Shein have any amount of market share. I don't know. I think as long as... I think this is a reaction to your point, Chirag, on कि $800 के नीचे जैसे US में था ऐसे टैक्स नहीं लगा, ऐसा कुछ...
but
there should be no...
India is at least what is being promised that all manufacturing is going to be done in India.
Yeah. No, great, yaar, guys. Keep the comments coming.
I love Bua's comment. I hope this podcast is not to sell brands to viewers. However, I bought magnesium vitamin. But frankly, I think they work wonders, man. Vitamins bata nahi, but magnesium gummies I've been having is fantastic stuff.
This will be the worst ROI of any ad if we had to spend so much time to sell एक product. यार ऐसे बात करो यार. नहीं, आप सब लोग अपना research करो. Please don't get guided by us. We just discussed today that health is very personal. You have to do your own research. Talk to a medical expert. Make up your own conviction. Don't buy anything or consume anything just because your friend is telling you to. It's actually very... it's not the right thing because what works for someone may not. Like the way magnesium works for me doesn't work as well for me. In reality as well, it's working for you, Shantanu. So... I mean, it's working, but it's not as impactful as it is for you. So everybody's body is different, right? So...
But I also started measuring my sleep after having the magnesium. So I don't know.
Maybe you were always a good sleeper. Like you never know, right? नहीं यार, अब तो मैं realize कर रहा हूँ इसका कुछ mental peace अलग level पे है यार शांतनु का. इतना चैन से सोता है वो और मेरी इतनी फटी हुई रहती है. मतलब बॉस कुछ तो गलत कर रहा हूँ जिंदगी.
सही है ना? कह रहे भाई मैं कितना धीट इंसान हो सकता हूँ actually. I don't know.
Looking at the amount of trolling you get on social media, I was shocked with how good sleep you get. Yeah, but it's like it should be a reality check to everybody who spends time online, trolling or giving feedback saying तुम आरामी हो, तुम गलत हो, तुम 18 घंटे काम कराते हो, तुम slave owner हो, ये हो वो हो. भाई तो आराम से सो रहा है.
But that part make it even worse. The trolling will become worse.
और chances होएगा फिर तो लग रहा है मेरे को कि चलो because algorithms are doing their job. Reach बढ़ते जा रही है. Suddenly LinkedIn top voice हो गया. शांतनु पता चला.
But चलो I will have to make a move. But
yeah, we also had. Yeah, I think it's a packed day.
Yeah, thank you so much. Everyone, please do put in comments. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Slightly chat light, but this was slightly quicker, and we had to shoot this right before a flight. and Chirag and Revant have been more than kind to accommodate going early in the morning to their respective offices while I've had the comfort of my home. So, but do tune in, do give comments, do give feedback, and CDRB, as always, this couple of hours is an opportunity to catch up and do bakchodi hour also. I love that.
Thank you.
Peace. Enjoy your flight and have a good
guys.
trip, guys.
Bye,
Great,
guys.
great,
Thanks.
bye.
Take care. Bye.
What's the fresh narrative now? Lesser IPOs this year, or lower valuations? What does it mean? I think interesting times there. We should be looking at that rain gauge index again.
Yeah.
Some of the companies have gone below listing price, large ones. What does it mean?
Yeah. In fact, today morning someone showed me a chart कि देखो listing price के नीचे आ गई है बहुत सारी.
वो that
And I
Excel
just
sheet which
comment-
is floating around.
Correct. I just commented on
biased है
it
वो,
कि
biased है वो,
बहुत
क्योंकि
ही
उसके लिए
biased है.
Listing price नहीं है वो, actually में day one price है.
Correct. और दूसरा मैंने वही बोला आप IPO price देखो ना, because the standard commentary that comes, see what sells on social media is outrage. Right?
हाँ वो तो clear, उसमें उस Excel sheet में तो बिल्कुल clear outrage है. MobiQuick का price, I think the listing price is 270, it got listed on 440. वो 440 से दिखा रहा है कि डाउन है. अरे मैंने बोला भाई लोगों ने तो 270 पे लिया था.
Correct. So मैंने वही बोला कि because the commentary that I heard is, oh, are the public markets just for founders and early investors to make money? I'm like, boss, if you want to really see the price at which founders sold or early private investors sold, and that is the IPO price, right? So if you check with the IPO price, which is what I think Rengage Index does, and they also actually compare with other indices, the mid-cap index and stuff like that. I think that is the real, I think hopefully they'll bring it out soon for the last quarter. Would be interesting to see now where, I still think that index would largely be still beating the small cap and maybe tying with the mid-cap index. And that's where I think most of what the companies will also end up, right? That's as a small and mid-cap.
I think we should only take this as a side project, code it, and get the index live daily. I will take that up as a side project.
अच्छा आइडिया है ये, बहुत बढ़िया आइडिया है.
That's a
एक
great
बना
idea.
के डाल देते हैं. मैं बताता हूँ आजकल तो everything
Index बना देते उसको. Hopefully the index itself is not asymmetric.
asymmetric private index gone public.
नहीं बहुत अच्छा आइडिया है. Like every episode you could just start with the index कि भाई कहाँ क्या चल रहा है करके types.
That's a very good idea. I agree. It's a very good idea.
Let's do.
बढ़िया, Sweetie. The tech boy is in the house.
सीटी कब से बोला था मेरे को कर्सर यूज करना था और कोड करना था. बहुत साल से कोडिंग हुई नहीं है. मैं कोड
Yeah. I'm mentally getting back there. Let's code.